Before you retired the first go-around from the NFL, I think the couple years or so leading into that, you were plotting out what you wanted to do in racing. What exactly were you looking into?
When the boys came along, JD and Coy, both of them, they loved everything with a motor on it. And then we would go to the races. You know, I would take them, we'd go to the races, and we'd develop friendships in drag racing and NASCAR and what have you. And so then JD graduated from school. He was the first to graduate, and he said, "Dad, I'd rather do something in racing than I would in football." And I said, well, what we can do, we don't have anything, but we can put a dream on a piece of paper and see if we can sell it to somebody. And so the second phone call I made was Norm Miller at Interstate Batteries. And I kid Norm to this day. I said, "You're the only guy that had either enough guts or were dumb enough to do this." But I showed up on his doorstep, and he goes, "Now, who's your driver?" And I said, "We don't have one." And he said, "Now, where's your race shop?" And I said, "We don't have one." He goes, I said, "Norm, this is a dream on a sheet of paper." And can you believe Norm was willing to step out? 2 days later, we talked on the phone. He said, "Let's do this." And our first year, we leased a small building over on Harris Boulevard here. We had 17 people, raced one car. I thought that's the way it would always be. JD, Dave Alpern, who's now our president, and Todd Meredith all went down there to work. They didn't even know what to do. They were just out of college, you know. And Don Meredith was a good friend of mine. We'd started some things in the Christian ministry and stuff. And I said, "Don, would you go down there and kind of oversee this thing when we start it?" And that's how we started.
I understand early on your number one principle was budget. How so?
When we got in racing, obviously people go, "You're doing what?" Mm-hmm. "Getting in racing? What are you talking about? That's not a business." And so when we got into this, I was kind of scared. So Norm, we got our first sponsorship stuff. And about 6 months into that thing, I get a phone call from Don Meredith, who was kind of overseeing everything from a business standpoint. And he said, "I need to meet with you." So we go to eat at the Palm. And so I'm about to take a bite of my swordfish. And he goes, "We're $250,000 in the hole." And I went, "What?" "I think that's the number," he said. And I went, "Are you kidding me?" I said, "This is," I had absolute panic. And so I told him, I said, "Hey, listen, we got to go back." We put everything underneath Jimmy Maycar, who was our crew chief at that point. Made some changes, and we said, "We got to make it with this. You know, we can't go farther in debt." So from that point on, you know, we just started working real hard, watched the budget, and started building things slowly.
First 3 years, I think you only win one cup race. How concerned were you at that point?
I was concerned after the first year.
Why?
Because it's a big step. Financially, you're stepping into this, and you know, you don't know if you've got enough money to make it go, and do you belong? I mean, it's a totally different world. I was scared to death to come and do something else. I'd only coached football. And so when we stepped over here, the whole first year, we didn't win a race, and I think we finished second maybe at one, Bristol, I think, with Dale Jarrett. And so we go into the second year, and it was traumatic. I couldn't tell you how uptight I was. And what took place there at Daytona the second year was kind of life-changing for all of us, and was one of the greatest experiences anybody could have. In those days, it was more kind of freewheeling with the pit crews and everything. So after the first year, we didn't do very well. We said, we'll put JD changing tires. And so, you know, our very first race is the Daytona 500, our Super Bowl. That race starts, the next thing you know, man, we're up front a lot. And I go, oh my gosh, You know, we're going to have a chance. And then it dawned on me. I said, this thing's going to come down the last pit stop. JD's changing tires. It's our first race. It's the Daytona 500. We're going to have a chance to win. I told everybody I was looking for a different place to throw up. You know what I mean? I'm saying, man, this is going to be. And so we tell this story because it really happened just like this. We come in for the last pit stop, and sure enough, Dale's up front, Dale Earnhardt's up front, all the hitters. They come in for that pit stop. I knew how critical it was. They go over the wall, Todd and JD, they change the front tire. They go to the rear tire, and JD hits about 3 lug nuts, and they drop the jack, and the car's gone. And he stood up, and Todd looked at him, and Todd goes, "Did you get those tight?" And JD goes, "I got 3 of them tight." And so Todd says, "Can we make it on 3?" And JD looks up at Jimmy Makar, our crew chief, knowing that if he tells him we got loose wheels, he's going to get killed. He goes, "We're getting ready to find out." It goes like that. And can you believe it? That car goes back out there. Dale won that race. And we didn't even know where a winner's circle was. We're running all over the place. We don't even know what's going on. And I think that race kind of verified to me and to all of us, well, maybe we belong.